Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now this is a response to a video that Matthew Smith did about 3 or 4 weeks ago where he listed his top 15 US bands. So I thought I would have a go, and then I got into a serious kerfuddle on what I could and could not include. Now, first of all, could I include a duo? I said certainly not, no duos allowed, and then I did my list and I think my number one choice was actually a duo, so I changed it and I allowed duos in. Could I include bands that are part American and part British? I thought no, unless there's certain circumstances which I'll explain, because one does get in. I'll explain why the other one doesn't get in. And then I thought, do I include just bands or groups? You know, you have groups that don't play their own instruments and so forth. And I thought, no, just the bands. And then I thought, no, I need to get this group in as well. So I've chopped and changed so many times that I had to make a top 20. And really, although the title says top 20 bands, it should really say top 20 artists that are not solo, or top 20 acts that are not solo artists. Okay, so there's a few bubbling under that just didn't quite get into the top 20, and they are the White Stripes, which on any other day might get in, but I'm not in the mood for them at the moment. The Stooges, again, same with the White Stripes, not really in the mood for them. And the Doors. Now, the Doors were in, but I actually took them out and replaced them with somebody else. I thought, I'm going to be totally honest here. This is not, list is not done on a little mathematical model the way I did last year. This is actually from the heart. So you may find that if you look through those past videos, some artists are actually higher than others, but not on this list. So we'll start off with number 20 and we'll race through these. And it is a band, and it is the Monkees, and this is like a greatest hits type. It's a cheap greatest hits type from the mid-70s. It sounds superb album, but it has got the big hit singles on, like Last Train to Clarksville, the Monkees theme, Daydream Believer, I'm a Believer, Pleasant Valley Sunday. I think they're really good, and I do like their albums as well, but I just thought I would show this. And number 19, and it's a duo. And they got in at the last minute, because I have to be honest, because I do love them. And it's the Carpenters, and this is like a double greatest hits. It's an absolutely fantastic LP. Their albums are really, really good. I just love Karen Carpenter's voice, so they definitely get in as well. At number 18, and this group would not have got in 2 months ago, but they're in now, and it's the Go-Go's. And yes, I still am in love with the Go-Go's. I still think they're fantastic. I've been enjoying them so much through 2021, well, during the times where I've actually been awake. But yeah, absolutely love them, and they get my number 18. At number 17, and another girl group, and it's HAIM, and this is their first album, Days Are Gone. I first heard these girls on the Jules Holland Hootenanny show. It must have been 2011 or 12, and whenever they played the first song, I think it was Falling they played, and I almost started laughing after the first 15 seconds. I thought it was that bad. By the end of the track, I thought it was brilliant, and I was hooked, and they get my number 17. Okay, number 16, and the Supremes. These are the ones I had to get in. I know there are 3 girls, and they are like a group rather than a band, but they are absolutely fantastic. Their singles are brilliant, and their albums aren't half bad either. So they get number 16. At number 15, and I'm going to give it to the Everly Brothers. I very rarely show the Everly Brothers. I have not everything by them. Mostly hits collections from the 50s and 60s, but I do have their 3 80s albums, which, although sound a little bit dated, are really, really good. Now this is the second one, called Born Yesterday, and this has a lovely version of Dire Straits' Why Worry on it, and another great version of Arms of Mary. But what it does have, it's got a brilliant version of Bob Dylan's Abandoned Love. Really brilliant version, and it's a very, very strong album. So the Everly Brothers get my number 15. 14, and it's the Ramones. Now, with the Ramones, I know their stuff from the first album up to and including Pleasant Dreams, and I love it all. It's really, really good. This is a double live album that came out a couple of years ago on Record Store Day. There's about 180,000 songs on it, and it only lasts about half an hour. Now, I think there's 32 songs on it through a double album, but it goes by in a flash. Brilliant stuff. At number 13, and I'm giving it to Creedence Clearwater Revival, and this is Green River, and this is one of their top 3 albums. This is the one with Bad Moon Rising and Lodi on it. Cross Tie Walker, I think it's a fantastic song. Really good band, and if you actually look at their output, they had so many albums within such a short space of time. I think they actually released 4 albums in 1969. You know, unbelievable stuff, and they're all high quality, apart from the last one, Mardi Gras, but still got some good stuff on. So CCR is number 13. Now at number 12 is the only such and such and the such and suches that gets on, and it's Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Now the other one that could have gone on was Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, but I think Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers are more of a band and Joan Jett is more of a solo artist. That's my own view. It could be completely wrong, and this is one of his most underrated albums. This is Let Me Up, I've Had Enough, from I think it's 1987. That's around this time I saw him live whenever they were supporting Bob Dylan. You see, I said them rather than him. It's got The Magnificent Jammin' Me on it. One of his best ever songs, Runaway Trains, and one of my favourites is How Many More Days. It's a really strong album. At number 11, and giving it to Talking Heads, and this is more songs about buildings and food. The thing about Talking Heads is I have to be in the mood for them. At the moment I'm not. If I did this on another day, these guys might be a little bit higher. But yeah, this is another underrated album. It's their second album, and I love the song Thank You For Sending Me An Angel. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's one of their best ever songs. So Talking Heads gets my number 11. Going in the top 10, and the Cars gets my number 10. Yeah, I've been into the Cars of late. I did a video, it must have been about 2 or 3 months ago. This is their greatest hits. This is the album that actually got me into the Cars, and it has the non-album song Tonight She Comes, which is very good. Brilliant band, very, very strong greatest hits album. At number 9, and Blondie. Yeah, I love Blondie, and this is one of the best greatest hits you could ever get. Never mind from Blondie. It has all the hits up to and including I think the last one was Rapture on this. Yeah, this was released in 1981, just the year before The Hunter came out. Absolutely brilliant album and a brilliant band. At number 8, The Velvet Underground, and I bought this in the early 90s, and this is like a greatest hits, and it's a good introduction to the band. It has the big songs on it like I'm Waiting for the Man, Pale Blue Eyes, Sweet Jane, I'll Be Your Mirror, All Tomorrow's Parties, Femme Fatale. Absolutely fantastic single album. So The Velvet Underground get my number 8. At number 7, and it's my girls, and it's the Bangles. Yes, still love them to bits. I love the last 2 albums that I recently got on vinyl. This is the greatest hits of their first 3 albums, and it's perfect. Going Down to Liverpool, Manic Monday, Walk Like an Egyptian. In Your Room is one of the most underrated songs out. It should have been massive over here. I think it was quite a big hit in America. And Following is the only song I was never that keen on. I don't know why it was a single, but it's not bad. But a great album by the Bangles. At number 6, and I'm going to give it to the Beach Boys. I'm more of a 60s Beach Boys fan than I am a 70s Beach Boys fan, and this is one of my top 5 Beach Boys albums. Friends, This lasts about, I think it's only about 23 minutes long. It's very, very short, but it's an absolutely beautiful album, and you know, I don't think this charted in America. I think it did better in the UK, but no big sales at all for this, but it is regarded as one of their finest. At number 5, and just ahead of the Beach Boys, I'm going to give it to the Byrds. Now this is the Byrds Greatest Hits Volume 2 that I've never shown. This is actually not bad. This is more their early 70s stuff, and this is where I prefer the Byrds over the Beach Boys, because I do prefer their 70s stuff to the Beach Boys. But this has got some really good stuff as well, like Drugstore Truck Driving Man, which is a Roger McGuinn, and I believe it's a Graham Parsons song as well. You Ain't Going Nowhere, Going Back, Jesus Is Just Alright, Ballad of Easy Rider. Yeah, I Wasn't Born to Fall, which I absolutely love. It's a good second greatest hits. Not as good as the first one, but I just thought I would show this one. At number 4, and Vampire Weekend, and this is the only band from the 21st century to make my list. This is their second album, and if you're not familiar with Vampire Weekend and you do want to dip your toes into their music, this is the one to get. Contra. It is very, very accessible. It's my second favourite album of theirs. I do prefer their follow-up, Modern Vampires of the City, but this is every bit as good. The song White Sky I think is amazing, really, really brilliant. Absolutely brilliant album. Taxi Cab, Run, California English. It's just, there's not a bad song off this. It's really, really good. So Contra by Vampire Weekend. Okay, number 3 is the one that's half British, half American, and it's not Fleetwood Mac. I wasn't going to include them because they're mostly British and they started off British, even though this band really started off British as well, but there was one American in it. But because the American is Chrissie Hynde, the Pretenders get my number 3. I know they formed in England, and the two guitarists were from the same town, but Chrissie Hynde is the Pretenders. She writes all the songs, she sings all the songs, she is stamped all over the Pretenders. She is American, so that is why they do get included for me. And yeah, Pretenders is my third favourite American act. Number 2, and this is like a kind of a duo, but they weren't always a duo, and it's Sparks. And this is like a greatest hits from 1977. This is actually a reissue with some B-sides for Record Store Day. Yes, I absolutely love the Brothers Mail, but they did start off as a full-blown band for the first 2 albums, and then their next 3 albums they were a band again, although not the same members, and the other members were English. It's often noted that Sparks are the best British band ever to come out of America, and I tend to agree with that, but to me they're still American. And you know, a lot of their phrases and a lot of their wit is very Englishy, but I still think they're an American band and they're absolutely fantastic, and they get my number 2. Which leaves my number 1, and because that was my number 1 until I actually said, yep, I'm going to allow duos. Simon Garfunkel, number 1 US band ever. They only had 5 albums, but 4 of them are perfect, one's not so great, it's okay. And this is the, funny enough, the UK version of The Sounds of Silence, as it says, including Homeward Bound, which opens up side 2, and Homeward Bound was on the Parsley Sage album in America. So Simon Garfunkel, number 1. So there's my top 20 US bands, or US non-solo acts, which is probably a better way of putting it. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.